Hello and welcome back to the Astradddle Podcast. I am Danny. I am joined with Lee, Clive and Paul from Raw Power Images.
Yes, and I'm Lee and I'm looking forward to this. So, just as we've got Clive and Paul in today, they're photographers. Just wondering at the moment, how long has this business of yours been going, guys?
Yes, the business itself has been going for about 3 weeks. We formulated a website, we've added photos and images to the website, and now we're waiting for some clients.
And just wondering, how long have you guys known each other?
I met Clive when he first came to Long Eaton Camera Club. I'm the chairman, and I saw him and thought, there's a little lost soul there. So I thought, I'll go and put my arm around him, introduce myself, and that was it. Something clicked, and we've become good friends ever since.
Well, you may think so.
Excellent. So what kind of images do you do?
Basically, we do all types of images, but we specialise more in sporting action, motorcycling. We've been out today doing ladies' trial bikes, and we do rugby, boxing, kayaking, canoeing, all sorts of basically action shots is what we're trying to show.
Yeah. I personally have seen some of the work that you've done today, and I actually like a lot of the photos. Roughly, when you're doing an event like that, how many images would you actually take during the course of the day?
Well, I did a weekend of boxing for the British University Championships, it worked out about 8 hours of boxing over 2 days, and I took nearly 9,000 photos, so quite a lot.
That's good.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of editing and thrown away pictures as well.
Yeah, so we ended up with about 10 images.
Do you do videos as well as images?
No, at the moment, that is. I've often thought about using the cameras that we have are top-end digital cameras.
Yeah.
And they have the facility for video recording. And I've often thought, if one of us was to just take the images and one of us have a go at the videoing and just see where it led us. It hasn't led us anywhere because we haven't done it yet, but it's something to think about in the future.
And have you ever thought of teaching people how to take photos?
Well, a few years ago I started my own little class. I had 10 members. They came on a Thursday, and I gave them the basics of photography plus the basics of a program called Photoshop, which is a way of enhancing the images that you actually produce through the camera. Photoshop itself is a passion for me. I never ever think that the image I've captured in the camera is the best until I've had a look at it through the eyes of Photoshop.
All right. So would you, when you're taking photos at an event, would you actually look at it on the camera, and if you're not happy with it, delete it on the camera straight away, or would you wait until you could have a look at it on a big screen?
Well, as far as Paul's concerned, I'd delete all of mine, but that's beside the point. Yeah, I mean, some are basically, when you're doing action shots of fast-moving sport, you're bound to not get perfect pictures all the time, so some will be deleted if you have time to actually go through them.
Now, my opinion differs there, because memory cards nowadays, you can take hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and it may well be you are actually deleting something which you can make as a better photograph. I could tell you of lots of photographs that I've taken out of recycle bins which have become better images than some of the images that people have kept.
Wow, that's good. And just out of curiosity, how long have you actually been into photography?
Well, I started in 1975. I can say that because that's the year I went to teacher training college. I started with a Yashica Minister D, which is a rangefinder camera, and progressed to a Praktika MTL3. So from 75 to now, 40 odd years. Yeah, that's how long I've been at it.
Wow.
I started probably about 8 or 9. My father bought me what was an old 110 camera, and basically he was in the forces, and we used to go to air shows, and he was keen on train spotting, and during the school holidays we were going here, there and everywhere and taking pictures. And in those days we used to send the pictures off by post, and you used to get the prints back in an envelope with a free film that came with it, and we thought that was the bee's knees.
Back in the good old
Wasn't it?
days.
Yeah, well, if you like.
So, I've just had a look through your website and seen a few things. One thing I saw was sharing stories. Can you sometimes, when you're taking a photo, straight away think, you know what, this creates a real story, and you can see that straight away?
As a member of a camera club, we have competition, and judges come to look at photographs and give them marks. They give a critique, and one of the main critiques that they will give is, this picture tells a story. Okay, it's the interest, it's the depth of interest that the image displays. And I would like to think that when Clive and I are taking our photographs, that is what we try to put into it. This image has got to tell a story, otherwise it's just like any other photograph that anybody can take.
Yeah, I like to. I used to. Well, actually, both of us played sport to a good standard, and we're both at an age now where we obviously can't play to a good standard. But well, Paul will argue with that. But basically, in my photos, I like to show the excitement, even anguish of people losing, the excitement, everything that I used to feel myself when I was playing sport, and I'd like people to actually see that in our photos, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, today I've concentrated not just on the images of the bikes, the motorbikes, but also the expression of the rider. And I've succeeded, because I've had a look, in a lot of images where the expression of anguish is there. So I'm really looking forward to putting these on a big screen.
I got to admit, when I saw some of the actual obstacles today, I was actually quite scared. I really was. But to be fair, seeing some of the photos, they turned out absolutely perfect in my eyes. Obviously, getting them on the big screen, you know, you'll do your magic, put them through Photoshop or Lightroom, and it'll look even better. Have you got any events planned, you know, in the coming weeks?
Well,
sport-wise, that could be a bit difficult,
yeah,
couldn't it, with what's going on?
Oh yeah.
Last year, after meeting Clive, we went to a jet ski meeting, and I remembered from a few years ago where somebody came to the camera club, gave us a talk on his photography, and I was so impressed with the jet ski images that when we found out there was a jet ski competition on at a place called Kingsbury Water Park near Tamworth, we met up and we just took photographs. And it's very, very difficult to get a bad photograph of jet skiers with all the spray and the speed and the expression on faces. The 2020 year competition is coming up, and we're already planning to go around the country taking images at jet ski meets.
Wow, that sounds really good. And I'm just putting this out there that the website is www.rawpowerimages.com. And if anybody's got any inquiries or want to get in touch with them, it's rawpowerimages@gmail.com. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I think that this, you know, looking at some of the quality of these photos, absolutely are amazing. And we're just going to go for a break for 2 minutes, and we'll be back with more stories.
Astradddle. And we are back from our break. We've got a few things to talk about, but firstly, Clive and Paul, how come you do not use photos straight from your camera?
Well, personally, I believe that I don't take the best photograph I can, but I can produce the best image I can. For instance, today we were photographing a trials event, and a lot of my photographs are taken from a position way below the obstacle. So I get the motorcyclist coming over an obstacle, and 50% of my image is actually sky. And because of the light metering, it's going to be white. Now the sky is never white, there's always clouds. So to actually get the clouds to appear in the image, I have to what they call post-process. And I use a couple of software programs. One of is a program called Lightroom, made by Adobe, and there's another program called Adobe Photoshop, which I complete the process with. Yeah, so I take good photographs, but I produce very good images.
Excellent.
I think the other thing is as well, some of the places we go to, like boxing, and today the light is that poor that basically it unless you've got very good cameras, which we do, they struggle to take photos in that light, and we have to post-process it to basically get a better picture, lighten it up without a lot of what's called noise in it, which is a lot of dots basically in your pictures, or pixels.
That's really interesting. And just a question: what is your definition of a photographer and photography?
Well, if I do photography, to me, photography is the control of light. There are three things necessary to take a photograph. One is you need a shutter speed. The second is you need an f-stop. And the third is you need what they call an ISO setting. An ISO setting is a reactivity setting. So therefore, there are three things. There is a fourth element, which is the addition of light, i.e. a flash gun, studio lights. But then that alters the shutter speed, the f-stop, and the ISO setting. So those three things are mainly it's the three things to concentrate on when you're taking a photograph.
That's really, really insightful, that is, yeah.
So, as someone, myself, being someone who kind of likes, as a camera and likes going to sporting events and taking the occasional photo, if there's anyone who's looking at possibly getting into photography, is there any tips that you have for them?
Yes, there's several tips, but the first one is you have to have the best equipment that you can afford. I've known lots of people buy starter cameras, and it's not a problem with starter cameras, but as you get into it, you then buy a better camera because of the quality. And for me, the advice is try and go for the better quality in the first place. Otherwise, you're left with a camera that you don't need. Also, lenses. The best lens you can buy, basically, for your camera. I use Canon. I use L series lenses. They sound expensive initially, but the quality is unsurpassed. And Clive, I think, will agree. He is a Canon user, and there are other makes out there which provide equally good quality, the likes of Tamron, Sigma. Clive has all these, but I just keep with the L series Canon lenses.
Well, it's the beauty of today is, in the old days when I spoke about having a 110 camera, you had to buy a film, and there was no guarantee. Well, if you took a bad picture, that was it. You couldn't do any, you just got the photo back in the post after it had been processed. To be a good photographer now, main advice I'd give is to go out there and practice, because of the digital age now, you can take thousands of photos once you bought the camera and the memory card, and it doesn't cost you anything if you take bad photos. So you can just delete those and keep practicing. And to me, that would be one of the best bits of advice I could give.
Excellent. I've got a question for both of you. What is your best photo that you've taken?
Well, I was going to say one that you sent me 10 minutes ago, Lee, but I'll best not do that one. I've got a personal favourite, is actually one I took at the University Boxing Championships a few weeks ago. In fact, there's two of them, if you don't mind. One's where a lad's just been punched in the face and his head has been knocked sideways with a whole load of sweat flying off it, and his face is disfigured from the punch. And then the other one, which is a split second too late, someone's being hit by an uppercut, and when you look at the photo you'd actually think his head was about to come off his neck. It's absolutely sent flying backwards. They're my favourites anyway.
To be honest, I have no favourites. I like looking at photographs. I like looking at other people's photographs. You know, when you go to someone's house and they show you some photographs, I genuinely am interested in every photograph that is shown to me. If it's about which is the best photograph is my next photograph. And Clive's nudging
I
me.
knew he was going to say that. Does my head in.
Yeah.
Do you guys actually attend many clubs? You know, I know there are photography clubs out there. Just wondering if you guys actually attend any.
Yeah, I'm a member of Ockbrook, and I'm temporarily. I was a member of Long Eaton, which I've just left for a little while I'm doing a boxing project, but I will be going back to join them because the day I do my project is their photography night. And Paul and I've started with a friend of mine called Marley's, of which Paul's a member, is a macro club, which is close-up photography of anything from insects to car parts, anything. And we think that's quite interesting. We think possibly the first one in Europe that's designated just to macro photography, and that's here in Kirkcallam.
That's fantastic. And is that at the community centre?
That's it, yeah, the big Kirkcallam Community Centre, yeah.
Well, I want to thank Paul and I want to thank Clive for coming along to talking to us about photography and their new business. And I will just say it out again. If you're listening and you want to visit the website, it's www.rawpowerimages.com. And if you want to contact them and ask them, for if they can do some photos for you, you can contact them at rawpowerimages@gmail.com. Once again, I want to thank Paul and I want to thank Clive for coming along and explaining what they do. It's been a pleasure, guys.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Lee.
The Astradddle Podcast.
And we are back. Once again, thank you to Clive and Paul for coming in and answering a few questions. They are Raw Power Images. Once again, the website is www.rawpowerimages.com, and you can get in touch with them with any inquiries you have with the email rawpowerimages@gmail.com.
They were quite good, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, as someone who does photography every now and then as a hobby, it's nice to speak to someone who does that on a regular basis as well as yourself, and get a bit of insight into what they do.
It was really, really interesting when I saw what they did today. And one of the reasons I was there today, because obviously we was going on the podcast, and I was like, I want to see what these guys can do. And seeing it in the flesh, there was a photo on the way home. Clive was driving and Paul just said, put the window down, and he literally just got his camera and he's taking a photo of the sky, and he's showing it me on the actual on the camera. Looked amazing. I can't wait to see the finished product once he's put it through Lightroom and Photoshop.
Yes, well, coming up, we've got a beer review, which I will not take part in as usual. It's rather ironic.
Well, this one is, I think it's kind of fitting for the kind of week we're going to have. So I won't tell you what it is just yet, but it's going to be interesting. I've got two, actually. One's a lager and one is a cider, and I think you'll like these.
So with this podcast going out late March, probably on my birthday,
Yes.
We do not know what's going to happen with the coronavirus. Italy, I think, have now confirmed 103 deaths
Wow.
in the last week, which is... No, not in the last week. Today, I think. Which is just crazy, isn't it? I think the death rate is now 4-point-something%,
Yeah.
which is, I think, now something like 8 or 9 times the percentage of deaths of the common flu.
I think, having seen what's happened over this last week, I'm going to go out there and say now, I think people are kind of panicking because they don't know a lot about it, because the government haven't said that much, which is fair to them. People can panic, but it's just flu. It is a stronger version of flu, and as long as you are, as rigorous with washing your hands and everything, and in everything that you do, you should be fine. Obviously there are precautions you have to take. You just have to make sure everything you do is fine. You can't control what Joe Bloggs down the road does. So it's a case of just, no need to panic buy and literally fight over a toilet roll, because when you get this virus, toilet roll isn't needed, because it's not something that makes you go to the toilet and feel like that. It's literally a common cold, flu type symptoms. So I think with that, people need to just get it out of their head that it's the worst thing ever. It is in one way because nobody knows much about this strain, but coronaviruses have been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, I think... nice little cough there.
Sorry about that.
I think one thing which is worrying people when it comes to the coronavirus is the fact that it's spread so quick in such a short space of time. And for me, I'm one of them people who aren't exactly worried, but they're wanting to make sure they're aware of what's going on. And I think everyone should be aware and have a good understanding of what is going on and what we know.
Would you like me to tell you how it's this is fact, how it spread so much in Italy?
Okay.
If we was in Italy, right
Okay.
now, being Italian, if you meet somebody, we meet up,
Yeah.
handshake, whatever, how's it going? Yeah, in Italy, whether you're male or female, when you meet somebody, you kiss both cheeks. Yeah?
Right.
And if one person's got it and they do that, and it's going to get to someone, so literally that's how it's going to spread, because it's contact.
Well, yeah,
So-
exactly. Well, it's weird because there's football matches being postponed left, right and centre. The Premier League is now suspended until April. The La Liga has been suspended. I think all 6 top European leagues have been suspended or completely cancelled.
That is true, but Ilkeston Town didn't get cancelled yesterday, did it?
No, it did not.
No.
Wow.
I'll ask you now, what was your opinion of the game?
It's strange because my opinion varies a lot, and I was thinking about it and I was doing a write-up and I'm just contradicting myself here.
Yeah.
Because 1 minute we was on top, we was doing really, really well, and you could see why we have beat top of the table leagues on, and you can see why we are a team that is known as a non-league sleeping giant.
Yeah.
And with the turnout from fans, we can see why we are that sleeping giant in non-league. And in other times, you see the game and you think, what's happening?
Yeah.
And I was doing the updates during the game, me and John Atwell, between us on different
On formats, different formats.
Yeah. And at times for 15-20 minutes, nothing happened
Yeah.
for either team. And we struggled to update people on the game.
On a funny note, that might have been the referee because he stopped it for so long, so many times, for no
Yeah.
reason.
Well, I think there was a reason of why it was stopped,
Yeah.
but no one knew what was happening.
No.
And I think that was one thing that was a bit,
I will
needs sorting out.
I will say this though, when we was at the ground yesterday,
Yep.
who we were playing, the hospitality was amazing. They
Definitely.
could not do enough for us when we got there. How many cups of tea when you walked in the door did they offer you when we was in the thingy lounge?
Well, initially, up until after the game, I did not go in. For some reason, I don't know if it was miscommunication, but I was under the assumption that I wasn't meant to be in there,
Was you not?
which was a bit strange. So that explains why I was doing all of the work I was doing,
Yeah.
just sat in the stands, which was strangely all behind one goal.
Yeah. Also, it was great to see Mason Lee back, wasn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, with the problems he's had recently,
Yeah.
we're not going to get into what's happened because we're not entirely sure. We're going off what we've read and
Yeah.
bits we've been told. But brilliant to see him back on the pitch.
It was
Brilliant
great.
to see his dad again, have a catch up with him.
I remember him warming up the line, up the thingy line, and someone shouted him, "Are you going on yet?" And he's like, "I don't know." And it was like 10 minutes left. "Are you going on yet?" "I'm hoping to." And it's like, literally 2 minutes after that, they put him on. And had he been at home at Ilkeston Town,
Yeah.
the crowd would have gone absolutely nuts.
Yeah, I think with Mason is just one of them characters where you can't not like him.
No.
He's one of them people where he seems a bit quiet, but when you get to know him, he's just incredible.
He's a hard worker.
Definitely.
I think it runs in the family.
Yes, well, they have, they run a family business, and that, the hard work they do with that is incredible. They've sponsored us in the past.
They have.
If you want to learn more information about them, go on to the first ever podcast, around 5-10 minutes in,
Yeah.
and we cover it for about 10 minutes. There's too much to say about
That's
the company. It's really, really good, the stuff they do, and just the hard work the whole family put into whatever they're doing is inspiring.
Yeah. And I think for now, I think we've covered pretty much everything that we need to cover this week. I'm like I said, I'm going to be doing a beer review with Mike from Antisocial Media, the studios where which we actually do this recording, and this one's going to be a good one and possibly controversial, depending on your views.
So yeah, we're going to go for. Well, I am now going to leave the recording room. Just one thing I do want to note that I do not take part in the beer tasting
Not at all.
stuff
You've
for
actually-
legal reasons, obviously.
You actually leave the premises.
Well, I leave the part where it happens and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I
Yeah.
sit in the editing room, or Mike will be able to tell us the
Yeah.
proper word for it, but I just sit in there
Control
whilst it's
room.
happening. Yes, that's the one. And I just listen and
Yeah.
enjoy listening
Oh.
to the podcast like hopefully you the listener does.
Yeah, and we're just going to go for a break now.
The Astradddle Podcast.
And we're back. Hello, this is Lee, and I'm doing the beer review. I am going to be with Mike. And today we are going to Mexico. Yes, we are literally drinking Corona. We're gonna, talk about a few myths. Can't get you, things like that. So let's just crack it open. Oh, that sounded nice. And I'm just waiting for my friend Mike to appear so I can give him, a present.
I'm just running all the way.
You're running. Right. So, beer smells okay, which is a bonus.
So which is this? Is this?
This is the Corona.
Oh, lovely. Right, well.
This doesn't seem too bad.
No.
To be fair,
I'm not a lager drinker, but...
No, I'm not a lager drinker as such, but I thought we'll make light of it, so...
Yeah, that's okay.
That's not bad.
Is it right? Is Corona a popular? I don't know much about lager.
Up until this coronavirus, it was very popular.
Do people really do that? Is that? I mean, really? They don't buy it because of the. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I've got a chili sauce called Black Death downstairs, right? Now, by that sort of standard, that shouldn't sell. People are crazy.
I also have a chili called the Reaper, and it's the hottest one ever. You've had the drink.
I've got
the chili drink.
Oh yeah, the beer.
Oh, how long did it take you to drink that?
Well, I still haven't drunk it. I'd have it, but it hasn't got a screw top. So once you open it, it's like that, and you've got an entire bottle of this stuff, and it's so strong.
Absolutely.
And it's the sort of thing you have in a shot, not a pint.
Yeah,
You just want to be on the loo for a long time.
That could be.
That's the loo roll, the great loo roll.
So, what out of 10 would you give the colour?
Well, it's a nice colour. I mean, it looks like it's like a sort of like a pale ale, isn't it? It looks like a pale, or even in mine, because there's no head on that at all. It looks almost like a Liebfrau milk or something, and in that glass especially.
Yeah, it looks kind of.
Oh, there he is.
A little bit flat, but it happens.
Well, how strong is it? What's the strength of it?
The strength, it is 4.5%. So that's not bad.
Yeah.
Um,
What's the fatality rate?
Oh God, yeah.
4.5%.
and
Damn, it's beaten the
and
flu.
actually, that's about right. Oh, I shouldn't say that, but you've got to make light of these things, because if you don't,
You go insane.
You go insane. And let's be fair, with proper precautions, everything should be okay.
It's not bad. I mean, I'm gonna say this. I mean, I wouldn't buy it because I'm not really a lager drinker. The last time I had lager, it was probably about 15, 20 years ago.
Wow.
Having said that, there are certain types of summer day where it's hot and you've been mowing the lawn, or you just overly hot, where a cold lager out the fridge could be quite nice. I put a bit of lime in it though.
Yeah, a lime has to go in it if it's Corona. It is the law. If I go to a bar and I get a bottle of Corona, I have to have a lime.
Is that
in it.
right?
Yeah.
Just on that one.
Yeah, just that's just my personal opinion. I see it quite a lot, and I do buy limes in, especially when I do actually buy.
Yeah, I have limes all the time. Then
And-
for every drink really.
How do you like your ciders?
Pretty wide, pretty broad.
Pretty broad.
Yeah, I like all cider. Apart from, I'm not so into the Strongbow, but that kind of stuff, and I'm not a huge proponent of, say, White Lightning or whatever.
Oh God, that's
Whatever
not cider. That's like pink stripper.
Yeah, I don't think it's cider either. But real cider, yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it.
This one right now, there's a little story behind it. It's called Angry Orchard. Yeah,
Angry Orchard.
And it's from America. Now, you can say a lot of things about America. This cider is not a bad thing. I drank it in America. I had it on draft.
Oh, they're into their ciders, are they?
Oh yeah, they do a lot. And I was so disappointed when I got home. I couldn't find it. I couldn't get it over here. And after about 4 or 5 weeks of literally looking around, I decided to go to Sainsbury's, and they had it at offer at Sainsbury's. It was like £2 a bottle. Yeah,
That's not bad.
and then it was 6 for £4 or something like that.
Do they do it properly? They've got a proper press and they do it? It's not.
Yes, it's
Right.
if you go on the
Small company.
if you go on the website, they do so many ciders, it's unreal. And the taste of this is and the smell is unbelievable. But now they do it in Tesco, they do it in Morrison's, and they do it in Asda. So it started off in Sainsbury's, but then they decided it was such a good thing. So what I'm going to do now...
Does it say American cider on it?
It says hard cider.
Hard cider. Hard.
A crisp apple. So you'll like this one.
Is it strong?
Oh yeah. Well, I wouldn't say strong, but the scent and everything else, you'll get it. So if I just pour some in,
What was it, 5%. Oh, no, that's a nice colour.
if you give it a smell and tell me what you think. And then have a taste.
That's not bad.
It's like actually eating an
At
apple.
all. It is. It's very nice.
It's so nice. They use English and American New York apples for this. Personally, this is my favourite cider.
Very nice, yeah.
I could have a session on this. And it smells so sweet. Really sweet.
It is a sweet one, but one of the nicest things about this is that initially it's very sweet, but as soon as you swallowed it, you've got a nice tart, sour sort of thing going on the tongue.
Yep.
I've got it now.
Yeah.
Make me screw my face with it. It's very nice, though.
But it's one of them. When I had it on draft, it was beautiful.
Oh, and it's not too carbonated either, which is always a good thing.
And these bottles, believe it or not, are quite heavy.
That's really good. Yeah, that is absolutely my kind of drink. I mean, the lager not so much, but this. And you say you can get this over here now, so
Yeah.
keep an eye open for that because it's very good.
If you go to Asda or if you go to Tesco or Morrison's, you'll get your hands on one at least. There'll be a spot. I know they sell out of it in Tesco quite a lot, but that's a good thing. If they're selling out of it,
Well,
they're going to keep. Yeah, I mean the taste, the smell, the colour of it. It really is nice. I can't.
It is.
I can't say enough about this Angry Orchard hard cider, and the reason the reason they call it a hard cider is because over in America, if you have apple juice, it's cider. It's called cider.
Really? I didn't know that.
Hard cider indicates that it's alcoholic.
So you buy cider and it's just apple juice?
Yeah, it's what it says.
That's a bit confusing.
It is. So,
do they sell apple juice in any form?
just
Or is it all called cider?
it's all called cider, unfortunately.
I didn't know. I mean, obviously there are going to be cider places, in the States, but I didn't think any really had become anything that we'd have as an import. That's really good.
Yeah.
Imagine that with a bit of ice as well on a summer's day.
Oh dear. Oh no.
Because it's got. I mean, to compare it to a cider that everyone will know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does Old Moot? If they do an apple one, don't they? It's a similar kind of flavour to that, and it's not as carbonated as stuff like your Strong Bar of it. Yeah.
We've still got half a bottle.
Old Moot or how strong is it? It's
5%.
5%. So it's about What's the other one? What's the Healy's one? Rattler.
We'll have to do one of those. I'm not sure which flavour yet because you can get so many different ones now.
In Rattler?
Yeah.
Can you?
You can get a pineapple one.
Seriously?
Seriously?
I haven't even looked. I don't go to the supermarket very often. It's so close.
I'm going to say it's so close, yes.
That I just don't bother. Because I know I can get what I want any time, so I just don't bother getting it.
But I
good, yeah.
genuinely can get this and I can drink it like it's pop. I love it.
What was this like on? Because you say you had it on draft.
Yeah.
Was it? I mean, it's going to be a little less carbonated than that, which is already not particularly carbonated. Do they? Is this a one-off, or do they do a variety of different?
They do a variety. There's about 6 or 7
different fruits or
different
variations
flavours.
upon a theme.
Yeah. I'll show you later the website.
And they're available here as well.
Yeah.
Are they?
They're not, but I haven't seen them. You probably can order them online.
I bet they will be.
But you can get so many different things, and I think I saw a whiskey or something on the website. I'm not 100% sure.
Spirits.
It looked like a whiskey bottle, but I could be wrong. But there was so many different ones and so differently priced, and you get a case. I genuinely would have this sent over from and I would give this a 9 out of 10.
I'd say a 9.
Yeah. The only reason I haven't given it a 10 is because A, if it's not on the offer, it's fairly expensive, over £2 a bottle. But also, they don't stock masses in the place. So, unlike if you went and you bought a case of Corona, you could go back and get another case of Corona. It's not like that with this.
You know, you know you don't like to buy alcohol in anything less than 3 or 4 crates. So
Absolutely.
you like to prepare.
Yeah. If we're gonna have to self-isolate at some point for 2 or 3 months, you've got to have something you want, and they don't give me enough of this in the shops.
You just be in the pub when they declare the isolation, so you can spend your time in there.
But that right there is my favourite cider of all time. It really is.
Have you tried? I mean, it's difficult to get hold of. Apart from if you go to, I know you've been to Healy's, but they've got this range. It's not in the cans or in the smaller bottles. It's in these large bottles that look like wine bottles, and it's a screw top. And they've got one that is a whiskey. It may be matured in a or it's something to do with one's whiskey sort of cider.
There you go.
I've never seen anything like it. I bought it. It was about £20.
Yeah.
But that for me was a 10. I was like, now I've been drinking cider all my life, really. It's a drink I'm very familiar with, and I've just discovered it because this is absolutely like nothing else I've ever had. But it was more like a fortified wine. It was really strong, like 12%.
Wow.
And it was, it's not something you're going to drink in a large amount. It's like probably a small glass, like Scrumpy. Like if you have a really crazy strong Scrumpy in Cornwall, which I'm sure you have.
Plenty of times.
And you stop off at the farms and you just see that little sign outside and knock on the door. Have you got a demi-john or two?
Yeah, we might be given the impression that we like our alcohol a lot, and that is correct, we do.
But there's no subtext.
But all we do, if we find somewhere nice, we literally, we don't go anywhere, put the keys in his pocket, or on the side of the bar, and we drink. And then we'll get a taxi home, wherever it is.
Or stumble around.
Yeah, or if I'm not driving, and I can ring the missus and say, can you please pick me up? Because it's not very often I get a chance to do this. I actually look forward to the beer review or the alcohol review that we do. Because I don't get a chance to drink as much as I'd like. I used to years ago, but I don't get that much time anymore. Although in the next 2 to 3 months I might have a lot of time, depending on the government. But it's to me this is, I could have a session on this.
Equally, it would sit well as a accompaniment to, say, a roast dinner.
Yeah, and it wouldn't really affect you until you start to try and stand up, because you could drink that and it feels like it's either pop or apple juice.
Yeah, cider's deceiving like that. I mean, we've had there was a pineapple one. It was a still one. It's at a pub over in Beeston, and I don't know if they've got it now, but it was incredible. It was slightly cloudy, very still, tasted just like pineapple juice, and then you stand up and having a normal conversation, none of the feelings of inebriation.
Yeah.
And then you get up, you're fine. You're walking around, you're fine. You open the door, the air hits you. You then realise that things aren't going quite as to plan.
Your legs don't like to follow in the direction of your body.
They ain't interested in it. No, they just
done for today.
Yeah.
Smack. That song, Wherever You Lay Your Head. that applies in that instance.
Yeah, you'd have a little sort of look around, hoping that someone's going your way, or have a little wander.
So now that we've
9 out of 10, definitely.
9 out of 10, definitely. And I think the next one we shall do, we'll have to do another real ale.
I've got a spirit as well, so I've got a mystery spirit for next.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Oh, excuse me.
I also bought a bottle of blackberry gin. Back from because the thing is that they make all their gin by hand.
Where's this?
This was at the Shakespeare Gin Distillery, and that's just outside Stratford upon Avon. I can't say that now. And it's a great tour. The people are lovely. They clearly know what they're talking about. They've got a pair of very nice stills that they had imported from the Netherlands. New ones, not the old copper. These are new, and they're black, sort of stainless, but inside is all copper.
Oh, right.
And the beauty of it being you can touch them while they're running. They don't get that hot.
That's good.
But if you I like going around touching a still.
Come here.
So the thing is, this blackberry one, I'm going to sort of quickly squeeze in because it's got a great story, and it just made me chuckle what had happened. They've got hedgerows all out in the sticks. They've got hedgerows all out over the place with loads of blackberries, brambles, and they decided, the two brothers, to go out and pick their own blackberries. And a couple of hours later, they regretted this very, very much. They lacerated themselves, but they had enough blackberries for one run, and not many people on the tour even picked up on that. And I thought, have they still got that? Because they're not making any more of this. And it's so let's get a bottle. And we got a bottle of that. That's going to stay tucked away somewhere because hopefully,
priceless.
Yeah, at some point, because it's a nice place. That gin is very good, very, very good.
I'll have to go there and
hour and a quarter away. It's a no-brainer.
Absolutely, we'll explore it, and because my wife, she loves the gin. She really does love a gin. She didn't until about 4 or 5 years ago. She never thought about drinking it, and then we were out one night. She decided to try it. She said, "Oh, that's quite nice." And then, as it comes, for your birthday, could you do this? So I got an Hendrix gin. I got a pink gin. She wasn't keen on the pink gin, but every other gin that she wants, I'll go out, get it. She likes it. I won't drink it because it's personally not my thing. Not that I have an issue with gin. I would try it, but it wouldn't be something that I'd probably drink all the time. If you know what I mean.
They had a standard gin, which was a juniper gin, and it doesn't taste like any other gin I've had.
Really?
No, it was like trying a scotch.
Wow.
You got this like, ooh, that's not Gordon's, is it? Sort of thing. And it was really, really good. But they also did some quite interesting weirdo gins.
Yeah.
That's not what they're really called, but the ones.
That's a technical term.
Yeah, there was one where they recommended, rather than a tonic, a ginger ale, which for me is a whiskey mixer.
Yeah.
And I thought, not on my watch. I'll have with tonic or whatever. And Zita had one. She had one and it was delicious, absolutely amazing. And it didn't taste like a gin and tonic, but it was just a nice drink.
I think the next time we do a alcohol review, if we're doing the gin, we should have Zita as well doing it.
Yeah.
And we'll have her opinion on it.
Yeah, she's better with whiskey.
We could do two.
Well, I've got a mystery spirit, and it's not whiskey and it's not gin. And it's stronger than both.
Oh, so, now I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So, I just want to say thank you for coming and doing this with me tonight. Always appreciate your opinion on things. Also, fantastic studio that we work with you all the time.
Oh, thank you very much.
You come here. It's the best studio around for us, and we think it's great. And this is me, and this is Mike signing off tonight from the alcohol review. Like I said, we did Corona. We survived it.
I'm feeling a bit peaky.
Are you really? That might be the cider. And we also did Angry Orchard cider, which is American. And if you go into Sainsbury's, Morrison's, Tesco's, and Asda, you'll see them there. Normally on the offer, but if not, it's something like £2 a bottle. And I think you'll enjoy it. And I want to say again, thank you for listening.